Well, Ted, let's pick it up from there. What are
Sure.
you seeing in terms of parents and families and the pressure as the years go by?
Yeah, the pressures get very high when I see my students because they are going to take these tests, and unless they're cheating, they're going to get a number that represents them, and that's a very stressful thing. I was not surprised by the college admissions scandal that much in that people wanted to game the system. I was just surprised that they were able to game the system so effectively by, having illegitimate test scores. So yeah, it's obviously the pressure is high enough that people would take that extreme measure.
Well, can we talk about, there's what's legal and what isn't, which we're going to see play out in the courts, but kind of what's kosher or legit or ethical and what isn't? Because on the one hand, a writer friend of mine wrote a great piece about all of this, and she said, no, I didn't pay $15,000 for my kid to take a test in an illegal, improper way, but I did pay $8,000 to a tutor. I'm sure someone just like you. So where do we draw the line as to who's guilty in all of this,
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, the amount of money you spend is not proportional to the result that you'll get necessarily.
Yeah.
I've seen people spend a lot of money to get not that much of a result, and I've seen people spend nothing and do really well as a result too. So it's not the money, interestingly, but yeah, the goal is to get students to be prepared for the test. So that might mean upping their reading level, that might mean increasing their math content knowledge, that might mean giving them confidence, helping them feel like they're ready to take the test. So all of those things are the aspects that go into it. Money plays a part in finding someone to help you get there, but it's not the money that leads you to the result. Yeah.
We only have a few minutes left, which just about kills me, but I want to talk about solutions and give some practical advice for parents, because I keep thinking about all these kids who might have faked their way or had their parents buy their way into a university, and what happens to them then? They get to college, and then what? What are you talking to parents about and hearing from them in terms of like, hey, let's be reasonable about this so your kid can actually be in a place where they can learn and thrive? Sandy?
I think it's really about making sure that it's the child's process and not the parent's process.
Yeah.
Parents are very attached to certain outcomes. You can't be attached to certain outcomes. Your child is actually going to go to that college. You are not going to that college. They need to be able to feel like it will be a place with their intellectual peers at whatever level. Parents also need to know that because they've heard of maybe 25 schools, those are not the only 25 schools in the country. The list of Ivy League schools, those are not the only schools in the country. It can't be about status and prestige and a brand name. It has to be about a fit for the child. So just because you haven't heard of it and your friends haven't heard of it and it doesn't give you bragging rights, doesn't make it a poor choice. Your child has to pick that school.
Ted, how receptive do you feel like parents are to that? Because I remember there's this great piece in The Atlantic, if viewers haven't, you check it out, right?
So
and there was
good.
an admissions counselor at Harvard West, like you said, whenever a kid got into the school of his or her choice, then that was all the kid's doing. And whenever the kid didn't get into the school, it was always people like you. It was the college counselors, the test tutors' fault. Do you get that? Are parents willing to hear that, hey, this may not be the right school for your kid?
I think we avoid the parents. We actively avoid those kinds of clients, and you can tell from the first phone call who's going to be a problem. There's a great way to do it. There's a great way to do the work and to treat the student like an individual who's becoming an adult, and let them develop and find the school that's right for them. There is a right school for everybody. And one thing that might blow your mind is if you look at a list of the most successful people in America and then look at what colleges they went to, it's not Harvard and it's not SC. I mean, some of those people went to those schools, but a lot of them went to the University of Denver, which is a great school too. So you don't have to go to the great school to have a great career. So anyway, we try to weed those people out from the get-go, really.